Hey, what's up, whiskey friends? Happy Monday. I am jumping on here on a Monday, which I know is not the regular scheduled program, but I am actually out tomorrow, so I will not be here for our regular scheduled Tuesday happy hour. So, in lieu of that, I'm just doing a little bit of a live stream here on a Monday. I have a new bourbon that I'm gonna uncork here in relatively short order. This is the latest bourbon release from Barrell. It is batch number 29, bottled at 57.94%. Pretty excited about that. I'm going to get the details of this one pulled up here real quick. I'm just trying to get everything in order to make sure we can have a decent chat about this bourbon. Let me just see here. I believe that the batch 30 is on its way to the market relatively soon. I am not actually sure. They'd usually do 3 or 4 of these a year. The 29 is relatively new. I think this came out about maybe a month or 2 ago. Let me just see if I can find the actual breakdown, because unfortunately, one of the things about these that's a little annoying, they do not say a whole hell of a lot about what is mixed into all of these, because Barrell's a blender, not a distiller. So with that, let me see what's going on. Loch Ness is in the house. What's up, buddy? Another Monday in the hub. Yeah, right? Couldn't end quick enough for me, man. There's a lot going on today. How are you, bud? Good to see you, man. In the glass right now is just a little regular, the Old Forester. This is the Old Forester 100 signature, just kind of like standard release stuff. Nice palate starter for a bourbon. It's a bit spicy. Interesting, even though this is bottled at 50%, 100 proof, they actually don't go the bottled and bound route on this. So I'm assuming it's actually younger than that. It's not bad stuff, though. Nowhere near as good as the stuff from their Whiskey Row series, though, that's for sure. But not bad. I have got a couple new things recently, actually. This one in particular, I think, is going to be really interesting. Grab it. So I stumbled upon this whiskey. This is Jack Daniel's single barrel rye. No, it is not the barrel proof rye, but it is a store pick. 70% rye on the mash bill on these. If you've had this before, let me know in the chat. I have had one of them, and it was quite good. This one, however, obviously not, as it's a unique barrel pick, all that kind of thing. But these single barrel releases really seem to be, one of the few things that the folks seem to really enjoy from Jack Daniel's. I have had the what is it called? It's the Jack Daniel's single barrel proof bourbon, or whatever, Tennessee whiskey. That one's really good, and to be honest with you, it's actually, I would argue, better than pretty much anything else that I've ever had from Jack Daniel's. And I've seen this rye before, but I've never pulled the trigger on it, mostly just because, I was holding out hope I would run into the barrel proof sometime, but, stumbling upon a store pick version of the regular single barrel, I had to say yes to it. So got my hands on it. It is 47%. So still a decent ABV on that. Obviously not as high as we would like, right? I mean, the higher the better, in my opinion, usually. But so it goes. So we got a few from other folks in. Cool. How you doing, Daniel? East Texas. Good to see you, man. Loch Ness in Ontario's in the house. Always limited selection of bourbons up here in Ontario. Nothing even close to the opposite. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Although, I did a little impromptu live recently of an unboxing of a bunch of stuff from Foodquig over there in British Columbia. And, he and I have been doing sample swaps for a couple of years now. And one of the things that I always mention is like, he always sends me just tons of Canadian stuff that I can't get my hands on. Macaloni's, Shelter Point, a bunch of these like kind of rare JP Weiser's releases, stuff that you never see in the States. I mean, in the US, the Canadian releases you find are always a bit on the let's just say like pedestrian side. I mean, I'm trying to think of some Canadian whiskeys that I've run into that were actually, pretty hard to find. I mean, we get a lot of the Crown Royal stuff, peach, apple, cherry cobbler, whatever the hell all the flavors they have. We get Canadian clubs, but nothing like rare. I mean, we get your standard Canadian club stuff, the 100% rye I see a lot. We get Seagram 7. We get, there's one Pike Creek that I see, which is the 10 rum. So we see that one sometimes. But, like for the most part, it's that kind of stuff. Like we don't find any of these really interesting ones for the most part, Gooderham and Worts or anything like that. So it's always a treat to get some Canadian stuff. I mean, I figured, God, man, our countries are such friends. We should really figure out a way to. You'd think there'd be a lot of money to be made by some of these distilleries by expanding into, in your case, to the south, and in Bourbon's case, to the north. But you know how it goes. What can you do? But anyways, Old Forester 100 signature. This is just a really kind of classic, $20, $25 bottle. Great for mixing. It has some of that signature kind of oaky. The oakiness is very forward on a lot of Old Forester stuff. I find no exception here. And usually, while I don't enjoy that much on the palate, I quite like it on the nose on these. What else is going on? Greg's in the house. Vive la France. Hey. Off of French Situation tonight. Better hear about whiskey, I guess. Good to see you, Greg. How you been, man? Wow. Hey, Alan the Whiskey Friend. Coming at us from the UK. How are things, man? I know rough goings yesterday for your homeland. I'm sorry to see that. My apologies. Whiskey section. How's it going? What's up? Yeah, folks, thanks for jumping on really quick. I mean, this is just a little impromptu kind of Monday thing. Normally, of course, I do the happy hours on Tuesdays. I'm not going to be here tomorrow, though. So in lieu of that, I thought I'd swing on and hang out with everybody for a little bit tonight. Hence the early start. I'll be back next week, though, for the regular happy hour. Telex will be doing his show tomorrow night at 9 Eastern, so you can still expect to hang out with my whiskey drinking friend, Telex the Whiskey Tech. Mike Meyer, what's up, buddy? Queensryche, good to see you, man. Great to have Mike in the house. Cool. We got 8 folks in, which is awesome. So, star of the show this week. We got a new Barrell bourbon. Little background on Barrell. Folks who don't know, Barrell's a blender. They are not a distiller. They are sourcing stuff mostly from George Dickel, I think some from MGP. They do tons of stuff. They do these really fun American whiskeys that have a bunch of different finishes on them that are really, really good. I mean, I think they're probably the best blenders in the business right now. High quality stuff. And so they've been doing bourbon releases 2 or 3 a year for a couple of years now. If you look back a little bit, I did do a blind live tasting of batches 25, 26, 27, 28. This was probably 2 months ago, and did give some samples away of the winner of that to Patreon supporters. The winner was the batch 27. I think it went 27, 28, 25, 26, if I'm not mistaken. But these are all like, they're cast strength. They all come in at probably anywhere between, 57 to 61%, 62% ABV. They're usually around like 75 to 85 American. Sometimes you see them a little bit more than that, which is obviously kind of expensive. But they're really killing it, in my opinion. They've also been dipping their hands into rum. They've also put out, I think, a blended scotch, a peated scotch recently. One thing about them that I do have to at least criticize a little bit. So if you look at the label here, it'll tell you what bottle and number it is, all that jazz. But it says the age, which is 6 years, right? Now, that's actually very misleading because, of course, you can only put the lowest age, right? You can have anything older in it. But, in most cases, you buy an 18-year-old scotch, you're assuming most of it's probably just around 18 years old. The thing with these barrels, though, is that 6 years old is the youngest stuff in here, but there's stuff that's way older. And so you'll see these age statements all across the board on these, and they really don't mean much, but to people who don't know maybe a lot about whiskey or about bourbon and want to buy one of these or something, maybe they just don't know how to read these. It's a little deceptive. So this one says 6 years, but it doesn't mean anything because this is what's actually happening in this bottle right here. What we got here is there's a 6 and a 7-year-old rye. There's a 9 and a 10-year-old wheated bourbon, and then there's a 6, a 14, and 16-year-old Tennessee bourbon in it. So basically, you're looking at a 6 and a 7-year-old kind of rye. Basically, or a high rye bourbon, one of the two. 9 and 10-year-old wheated bourbon, and then 6, 14, and 16-year-old Tennessee whiskey. So there's a lot happening in this one. Right? I mean, you wouldn't know that just from this 6-year age statement. And unfortunately, that's the other thing is they don't take the advantage of the space they have here and tell you everything you'd want to know on it. So you kind of got to go hunting around on the internet for these. But I'll be honest, most people who are into the barrel stuff, which I'm increasingly becoming a fanboy of, you really do have, you're probably used to looking up stuff like this anyways. Here's what it says in the back. We hand-select and married these bourbon barrels from our inventory to bring out their best characteristics, bottle the cast strengths to experience the true flavor of our blend of straight bourbon whiskeys. There you go. Distilled in Tennessee, Indiana, and Kentucky. Indiana's MGP, Kentucky bourbons, and Tennessee is where you'll get your George Dickel. All right. So as I was mentioning, I do have a whole bunch of their batches. One other, I'll share just recent one that they came out with. So they have been doing these very innovative kind of like finished whiskeys. This one is one that the most recent that they put on the market. This one's called the Barrell Seagrass. This one in particular, this is a full rye, but this is what I mean by like kind of how innovative and borderline, they're kind of pushing the boundaries a bit. This is 59.2%, so it's cast strength. All their stuff is cast strength. This is a rye whiskey finished in Martinique rum, Madeira, and apricot brandy. So if that gives you just a sense of kind of like some of the more fun stuff that the folks at Barrell are doing, yeah, I mean that is like you got to be kidding, right? It's quite good too, as you can see. I've put a nice dent in it. All right. With that, let's get this in the glass. Uncorking. All right. here is the color. Beautiful. Beauteous, beauteous, beauteous. All right. I'm going to let this sit just a hot minute. Let it get a little oxygen. I'm going to leave the cork off this too. Just let it breathe a second. Yeah. Indeed, right? So this one's interesting that they added wheated bourbon. Wheated bourbon, I don't believe, was in any of the previous 4 batches of their bourbon releases that I've had. So there's good stuff out there, man. There definitely is. I'm definitely more of a Scotch person personally, but do love me some good bourbons, particularly ryes actually, even more than bourbon maybe. Yeah, it's a beautiful looking one. Hey, Mahir, how you doing, buddy? Over in Delhi, India. What's up? Good to see you, man. Folks saying hi. Got the Offerman. Looking forward to comparing them. Nice. Yeah. I liked it. I actually liked it more than the first 11-year-old Offerman that they did. The second one, I think the one that he's talking about here is the one with the Guinness cask finish, which maybe you would think, like kind of gimmicky. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but man, it's good. I actually killed an entire bottle of that already, Alan. I really enjoyed it. I'll be honest, I was surprised how much I liked that. I thought the first one was solid too, but this one I think is actually quite a good bottle. Well, good. Glad to have you, man. Top Shelf Dustin. What's up, buddy? How are you, man? Monday. How's it going? Yes, I totally agree with you. Yeah. I was just mentioning that. I really enjoyed it. I killed an entire bottle of that stuff already. It was awesome. What up, Jack? Nice to see you, man. All right. So it's been uncorked. We've had it poured out a little bit. Barrell Bourbon, number 29, batch 29, 57.94%. And so just again, for the folks just joining, what is all in this? 6 and 7-year-old rye, 9 and 10-year-old wheated bourbon, 6, 14, and 16-year-old Tennessee whiskey Dickel. So there's a lot happening, as always. Here's the color one more time on this. Let's get into the nose. And again, these come in, you'll find them anywhere from, on the lower end, 70, on the higher end, 90. I mean, they're not cheap, that's for sure. But I'm a big fan. I've been really getting into these barrel bourbon releases of late. They're all just been really great. Okay, here we go. Oh, interesting. Fruit and spice. This is a lot fruitier than any of the last ones that I've had. Tropical fruit, orange, apple. Interesting. The rye spice is kicking up too, which is great. I guess this is what you would expect to some degree. The wheated bourbons don't tend to have super palatable noses. What's up, man? Are you coming over here or what? Make your jump. Okay, Jesus. Do your thing, man. Here, say hi to the folks. Here's Winston. Hey, everybody. Winston wants to be part of this whiskey action, apparently, so we're going to make him a little spot here. Sit down, bud. Anyways, back to this. Nice, dusty, kind of like wood shavings note. Yeah, a lot of bright fruit on this. It's interesting. Caramel, your standard. A little bit of vanilla. And then there's a little bit of this bready note, which again is, I guess I characterize as just kind of like fresh baked bread. Not rye bread, but like wheat bread, of course, because it's probably coming from the wheated bourbon. All in all, pretty chill nose. This is not very aggressive. It's a much more relaxed, even at cast strength, it's pretty relaxed. It smells damn good, though. Let's give it a taste. Happy Monday, y'all. What are you doing? Mm. Wow. Light, much lighter flavor-wise than I expected. Normally, like I said, you're kind of hit with a heavier dose of this kind of caramel, oaky, oak-driven spirit. What you're getting here, again, it's kind of lighter, it's fruitier. We're talking kind of like more in the butterscotch vanilla in terms of the traditional bourbon notes, light brown sugar. And then you get this really nice hit of rye spice. It's a bit drying, dark chocolate, kind of goes into the finish, and then it's a medium long finish. This is where that Tennessee Lincoln County process comes in. You can taste the that kind of maple charcoal, the maple note. I'm not normally a big fan of it, but what I do is find is that Barrell does such a good job with blending this stuff that it doesn't overpower and it's complementary. It's interesting how it's playing off of these fruit notes. I don't love it. Let's do another sip. Hey. Oh, this is different. The use of the amount of wheat, I don't know how much wheated bourbon they put in this, but this is a much different dynamic than I'm used to with these. I think really to describe it, it's sweet and bitter. The spice is more of a bitter, maybe even hinting on sour. There are things to like, but it's pretty complex, but it seems to not have that chewy, thick kind of center that the last 3 or 4 that I've had have really showcased. This one seems to be going for something a little bit different. Not quite sure where this one's landing with me, to be honest with you. I think this is not one of my favorites especially compared to the batch 27 and 28. I think those maybe a little bit more traditional. This is just kind of interesting with the amount of wheated bourbon in here. Let's do a little bit of water. Winston, what are you doing, man? Chill. Let's see what happens here. Let me know in the chat too if you've had any of the recent releases of the the bourbon line from Barrell. If there's any that you really enjoyed. Like I did do that blind tasting a while back. You can probably find that link somewhere in the live playlist. And the batch 27 and 28 were number 1 and number 2. 27 was the winner, and those were just fantastic. This one, let's see. Seems to be a little bit more balanced on the nose now. The bitterness is gone. Still a lot of fruit, which is interesting. Pears, peaches. There's this, it's lighter. It's lighter than you expect. The finish, well, let me not get ahead of myself. The development is just a little bit strange. It's bitter. It's got some sour, and then it's got this sweet fruit. The spice note almost completely dissipates with the addition of water, and what you're left with is a really great finish. It's like creamy vanilla frosting, like creme brulee, slightly drying. The finish, toffee. The finish is really fantastic with water. Yeah, I don't know. This one's a little bit off for me. I think this is going to take some time. I'll tell you right off the bat. I mean, if I was going to say throw a score on this, I mean, this is probably like a 3.25, which is probably the lowest I've given one of these releases to date. This one's just a little bit challenging in a way that's throwing me off a bit. I'll be interested if that oaky bitter note kind of dissipates, because that's what's normally you'd like to see, the kind of bitter note turn into like a dark chocolate thing, but you're not quite getting it on this. It is mostly just kind of dry, almost tannic. It's got some interesting stuff going on. It's definitely a solid bourbon. Is it worth the price? This batch in particular, batch 29, I would maybe hold off. What I think is missing, and again, I think it's because of the amount of wheated bourbon they put in this. It's like it just doesn't have that like bold, intense flavor on the initial palate. And that's what I think is kind of throwing it off for me. The others I felt had much more of that. Yeah. I'm not sure I would spring for it again at the price, but I mean, just for context sake, I would say the batch 28 and 27 are both 4.25 bourbons, even at the price of about $80. I think they're that good. This one's a step back. This one's a step in a different direction. But I'm still going to have some more because I have a whole bottle of it. So, we'll see where it goes. I'll do a full review of this eventually. In fact, just for context sake, let's see if I can. Yeah. I'm going to put some of this batch 28 in a glass just to double check with and see where I'm at. Maybe my palate's just off. I don't know. I just want to double check. I mean, you can see this is 28, this is 29. You can see 28 is darker for sure. But that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Let's see. Yeah, much sweeter on the nose, much more confectionery. It smells richer. Caramel corn. Butterscotch, butter toffee. Oh, yeah. Hang on, let's do a sip of this. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Much bolder, richer, heavier flavors. This one's only 54%. A lot more vanilla, caramels, toffee, malted milk balls. Interesting little herbal note. It just seems a bit more balanced and put together. Yeah. All right. Just wanted to make sure my and there's even this nice kind of cola effervescence in the finish. This is the bourbon you would pour out if you want to like impress somebody with your bourbon. Batch 28. Batch 29 is the one that you sit around and experiment with. That's the best I can tell you on this one. That's killer. Yeah. I hope that was helpful in terms of comparison. Although it was quick. I don't remember exactly what the makeup was. Anyways, let me catch up on the chat. I know I'm kind of rambling a little bit here. It is early, man, especially for you. What is it, 3 o'clock? 2 o'clock? Or no, 4 o'clock. NorCal. Cody, good to see you, man. Yeah. I'm hoping he's licking his wounds all right. Yeah. Danielle H. Saw this the other day. Almost did. Got it. Didn't. Got an old Carter. And so, well, yeah. If you run in the old Carter. Hey, buddy. Have a nice evening in Paris. Take care. Whiskey section, man. Take care, man. Thanks for stopping through. 18-year-old whiskey finished in Armagnac cask for 95. Is that a barrel? Is that one of those American whiskeys that they have? Dude, I would consider it. That's not a bad price at all. Yeah, so prelim final on this score on this Barrell Bourbon 29 is honestly it's a 3.25, pushing a 3.5. We'll see where this goes. I'm definitely going to play with it a little bit. It's just not immediately a wow. This is a little bit more challenging. Again, I like that they are playing around with a lot of this stuff, but this one's just a little. I almost wish that they wouldn't have put so much wheated bourbon in this. I think there's a lot in here. Anyways, so what else is going on, y'all? As I mentioned, just for folks just joining, threw this together really quick because I am out tomorrow. So the regular Tasty Tuesday happy hour will not be on. We should have that on next week. But Telex the Whiskey Tech, my partner in crime for tasting whiskeys, will be doing his show at 8 o'clock tomorrow, Eastern time. So there'll still be some stuff going on, but I got myself a little thing that I got to go to, and that's going to prevent me from being able to talk whiskey. Let's see what else. I'm going to play around with this a little bit more. Has anybody else had any of these? Like the last couple releases, these Barrell bourbons? I'm wondering if Jack's talking about one of the barrels. So they do these like American whiskeys too. They also have some bourbons that are like single cask special releases that they do that are like 14, 15 years old as part of the bourbon line that they have. They really got a lot of stuff out there, man. I could spend a lot of time exploring these. And my collection of them is probably up to like 10. So I've definitely got a few of them. Okay. It's getting a little bit more better. It's getting a little bit more balanced. Peter White. Just Canada. Oh man. I got to get some samples up to Ontario. Peter, we should talk sometime. I'd love to get you a couple samples of some things. Barrell bourbons could be one of them. For sure. But maybe I wouldn't send you the 29. This one's not amazing. The 28, however, that one I almost want to get another bottle of. So yeah, I think I might try to do this one next week. I have a hard time not opening this right now. I got this, and this is a store pick Jack Daniel's single barrel rye. So I'm going to have to probably open this pretty soon. And in fact, the rye situation is getting to be such that it might be time to do a blind rye shootout type thing. I'm going to do a sherry shootout yet this year, and I think I'm going to do a rye as well. I have a lot of different rye whiskeys now, and I think that'd be a lot of fun. I have these, I think you've seen them before if you've watched in the past. There's like these black glass, basically Glencairns that you can really like blind yourself literally from the whiskey that you're drinking. And so I may utilize those and just do like an eight rye bracket and then maybe an 8 sherry and do the same thing. Just kind of do it all blind, and then at the end, figure out which ones were which. God, the bready, like sourdough rye notes in this are really kicking up. This is getting better. It's still got this tannic sourness, though. Daniel, you said that you saw this one but didn't pick it up. Do you have any of the? Have you picked up any other barrel releases? There's some milk chocolate. This one's getting a little better. I might have been a little harsh, but that's how it goes with the neck pour, right? All right. All right, y'all. I'll let you get back to your regularly scheduled lives. Thanks for hopping on really quick. Oh, Daniel did see it. He did have some of those. There you go. Nice. Unfortunately not. Yeah. So just one more time. You have 26 and 28. Cool. Yeah, I'm not going to be on tomorrow night. I have some plans I got to go to. So figured I would just hop on really quick, say hi to everybody, crack open this barrel. I'm going to enjoy a couple more sips of this tonight. Telex will be on tomorrow night, regular time for him at 8. And then I will be back live next week for Tasty Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Sorry, Telex is at 9 p.m. Eastern. May throw up another live this week. Who knows? We'll see. But cool. Glad I could just stop in real quick, say hi to everybody, have a couple pours with y'all here on a Monday. Everybody have a great week. I'll catch y'all later.